Okay, so I've helped hundreds of beginners launch their first WordPress website, even without them writing a single line of code. Now, in this video, I'm going to walk you through how you can build and launch your own WordPress website, all in less than 30 minutes. And again, like I said, nobody's going to have to write any lines of code in this. Anybody can do it, even your gran, and I challenge accepted. You can send this video to your gran, and I guarantee she'll be able to build her first WordPress website. You'll see the exact steps, the shortcuts that I wish I knew when I first started, and I'll share some of the plugins and the tools that I use to make this as smooth and as painless as possible. Now, if you want to know more about this after you've watched this video, then check out the link in my bio, and there'll be one below as well, and I've got a free training there for you. Now, let's get stuck into this. Okay, so build your first WordPress website in under 30 minutes, no code. Honestly, this is for anybody. I want to make this as simple, as easy as possible for you to get up and running. Now, this is the agenda. This is what we're going to cover today. So 1, we're going to look at hosting and installing WordPress. Number 2, you're going to pick a theme and you're going to make it yours. And then number 3, we're going to add some plugins and then we're going to hit publish and you're going to go live. All right. So let's start with some misconceptions. Now, most people think building a website is only for techies or web developers. This is not true. Of course, there's different levels of websites, but at the end of the day, anybody can put a website together. And I believe if you go through this video to the end, by the end of it, you'll have a website up and running that you can use or sell to somebody down the line. They believe it takes days or weeks or even thousands of pounds to get started. Honestly, I would love to say you can do it for free, but there are minimal costs that you're going to need, such as hosting and a domain name, but they are, honestly, they're minimal costs. WordPress is free, so you don't need to, but don't think that, okay? And we can get this done in 30 minutes. Others think you need to learn PHP, HTML, CSS, or spend a fortune on expensive designers. Now, if that means nothing to you, good, you don't need to. PHP, HTML, and CSS are programming languages that you need and generally are used for WordPress websites when you're designing them, even JavaScript as well. But with this, you're not going to need a designer. You're not going to need to learn any of these programming languages. We can get you up and running with a website without knowing any of that. You don't need to. And then reality, today with WordPress, you can build a professional looking site quickly, easily, and without a single line of code. Okay, so hosting and installing WordPress. Now, you might be thinking, what is this? So let's just go through it. What is hosting? Right, to get started, you need a place for your website to live. This is called hosting. A bit like, if you bought an iPhone, it's no good if you can't make any calls because you haven't got a SIM plan. This is the same thing. You need to pay some sort of monthly subscription, a small amount, just to get your website accessible online. This is hosting. All your website files will live there and they're safe, and that's how people can access your website. Now, who do you pick? There's so many out there, obviously, but pick a reliable host. Now, for me, for this video, just so we can get it through as quickly as possible, I'm going to recommend Bluehost, but any decent host will do. WordPress has got a list of recommended hosts. Bluehost is on there. It's one of the cheapest. I've used it. I've tested it for you, and I think it's one that's good. I've even put a link below. It is an affiliate link, so if you do click it, obviously I will get a commission for it, so you don't have to use it. If you do, you're supporting me. That's great. But look, just pick any host that you've got hosting, that you can get a hosting account with, basically. One-click install. So once you've signed up, look for the one-click WordPress install option. This is like literally one click and you've installed WordPress. In the past, gone are the days where you've had to download WordPress, go to FTP, install FTP, work out how to use that, get your server details, log in, upload the files. Honestly, this is where you click the button once and it'll just install WordPress and you've got your website up and running. So within 5 minutes, you've got your own website up and running, no coding, no headaches. Now, before we do anything, let's just jump over to a browser. Let's get Bluehost up and running. So if you go to Bluehost, and obviously I'll put a link below for this if you want to do it. Because I'm in France at the moment, it's changed it to French. So if you go to hosting, what you need is WordPress hosting, okay? And you can see here, look, you can even take the basic pack, all right? This is how cheap getting started is. So it's $2.95 a month. So you choose this plan and you'll get a domain name. Now, a domain name is the name of your website. So like google.com, amazon.com, you need to have a domain name. So it gives you a free domain with your hosting, okay? So this is how quick we can get this. Yeah, let's time this and see if I can get it done before 30 minutes. So I'm not going to do this because I've got an account already, okay? But what you want to do is you want to pick, my new website, okay? Help. So whatever it is, .com, you can pick different extensions if you want, but just type in whatever it is that you want as your domain name and you click use this domain. Okay, so once you get to this point, you can decide, whether you want to have all of these things or not. So basic hosting, professional email, I don't want that. I don't want this. So I'm going to be paying $35.40 for 1 year. All right. And yes, with this, you can go monthly. So if you want to check it out, it's $15.99 a month. But obviously, it's a lot more cost effective to go for 1 year and pay only $2.95 a month. Okay. So that's what I do. I wouldn't worry about this. I'd continue to check out and just put your details in, make a payment, and that's it. And you'll be, signed up to Bluehost. So if I just log into my account, which I've already got, which I use for, this and testing. So let's log in. Let's have a look. So obviously, once you've got your hosting account, you'll have something like this. Okay, so you can go to Home, Websites, and then I'm going to click Add Site. Okay, so I want to create a brand new website. So I'm going to install WordPress. Click Continue. I'm going to give my site a name. So 30-minute website. Continue. So I can enter the domain name. So whatever domain name you've purchased through Bluehost, you'll be able to select this here, okay? But for the purposes of this, I'm just gonna use a temporary domain for this, all right? So click Continue. So your new WordPress site is installing. So I click Next. It's just showing me unleashing the power of AI. Done. Log into WordPress. Okay, so welcome to WordPress powered by Bluehost, or you have something similar, whatever host you've chosen with. Okay, so if I say, look, this is where you can use AI, but you can say I'm following the tutorial. Okay, so just click that, and it'll take you to the WP admin dashboard. Now, as you can see in the address bar here, this is the domain that it's given me, but you will have your own domain at this point. So you'll have something like www. whatever you've selected. Now, the reality is, this website's already created. So if I right click on this 30-minute website and click open in new tab, you can see I've now got a website. So you've already built a website. So you're a web developer. Done. Well done. We're up and running. Okay. But obviously, this is not exactly what we want. We want to make some changes to this. But the point is, we've now created a website. Now, some of the things, well, we'll come back to that in a second. So let's just jump on to the next part of the presentation. So now that we've got WordPress installed, we've got our hosting, we need to pick a theme and we need to customize it to make it yours. So choosing a theme. Next, make your site look how you want. So go to Appearances, Themes in WordPress, and I'll show you that in a second. Install a theme. So browse, preview, and pick a clean professional theme. I usually suggest Astra for beginners. So it's an easy to, I'll show you in a second now. Astra is a theme that you can pick up. It's free, and it'll have some pre-built templates in there already that you can use that look pretty good and get you up and running. Then if you want to pay Astra, a bit more, I think it's not very expensive. You'll get to unlock a lot more other styles and themes, but you can get some really good ones on the free plan. Customize your theme. So you can tweak your site's colors, logos, and layouts right in the customizer. No design experience needed. And then make it yours. So your site starts to feel like yours in just a couple of clicks, create pages and update the content. So just to switch back to here. So what we said was we need to go in WordPress to Appearances, Themes. And at the moment, you can see we're using 2025. We've also got available as 2024, 2023. Now, these are the default WordPress themes, okay? So in this video, I don't really want to go into too much details about, the fundamentals and how things work. This is just to get you up and running, okay? So you've got your first WordPress. So what we want to do is we want to go to wordpress.org themes. Okay, so wordpress.org has got a load of themes that are available. So you can click here and you can see there's 1,277 themes available that you can use. And like I said, I suggest we start with Astra. So let's search for Astra. And here we go, Astra is here. So we can install Astra and then activate Astra. Okay. Now, if we go and look at our website again, let's just see what's going on now. You can see things look slightly different, okay? It's not a usable website, but it's got a slightly different structure because we're using Astra now instead of 2024. So on the left-hand side now, you'll see that you've got Astra here, okay? And you also got this feature here. If you don't see this, don't worry. You just go to Astra and it'll be the same. So what we do now is go to the starter templates, all right? So get starter templates. And this is like preset websites basically that you can use and start customizing it. So I would suggest the classic starter templates. So build with templates. And for now, we're going to use the block editor, okay? Elementor is something that we can go into in a bit more detail down the line. It allows you to do drag and drop and totally design your website the way that you want. But the block editor is WordPress's built-in editor, which allows you to customize these templates so that you can make them more personalized in line with what you want to use it for, or for whatever you might be selling this business to another service, whatever they need it for. So let's click block editor and just wait a second for it to download all of these different available themes. Okay, so as you can see here, we've got some different websites that we can use. And what you'll notice is, let me just scroll down. You'll see at the bottom here. Yeah, you'll see this premium, which means you can't use these ones. So if you see premium, it means you need to upgrade and pay Astra for the ability to do these. And as you'll see, most of the nicer ones or the more premium ones will have premium written on there, so you'll have to add them. So for now, for the purposes of this video, we just want to get one up and running so we can use our, get our website, ready and live. So what I suggest you do is maybe look at the type of business that you are. So let's say, you are an electrician. If you click that, then it'll show you the ones it thinks are suitable for you, all right? If you're an agency, it'll show you the ones that are available to you, or just browse, okay? I think for the purposes of this video, I'm just going to pick this first one here, okay? So if you click on it, it'll give you a sort of preview of what it's going to look like, okay? And I think, this is a fairly nice website. It's clean. It's not overbearing. I think it works quite good. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to continue with this one. Page builder, it's already built in because we've chosen the WordPress default page builder. Contact form is already built in. We don't want e-commerce, website emails and SMTP. That's a good thing, but I'm not going to cover that in this lesson. I'm not going to cover any of those. So let's click continue. Right, you've got to put some details in, so let's just do that. Okay, I am a beginner. I'm building a website for my client. You can share if you want, understand, submit, and build my website. So what it's doing now is it's creating all the pages that are part of this template, and it's implementing everything into the page builder for those pages and changing all the settings. So again, all the code is being done behind the scenes. You haven't got to write a single line of code to get this website up and running. And there we go. Our website is up and running. So first of all, we can go to the dashboard. We can view our website. So if we click view our website, you can see we've got this. So we've already built this as our website. And really all we've got to do now is go through it and make changes to whatever it is that we want on here. Okay. So let's go back to the dashboard. Now, just to show you how to navigate. Once you're logged into a WordPress website, on the front end, you will see this black bar along the top, okay? And if I click the name of the website, so you might have called it, Dave's Plumbing Company, whatever, I'd call it 30-minute website. You can click that and it'll switch you to the back end. This is the admin where the website is managed, okay? So the point of this slide was just to pick a theme and make it yours, all right? And what I'd suggest you do now is if you go to appearance here, and you can click customize, okay? I know there's a lot of options here, but I don't want you to be overwhelmed with them all because this is just about building your first website and not to be, a web pro yet. This is just to get you up and running. And when you go to customize, you're going to see all of these options, okay? So global options are, typography. So if we want, we can change the font. And as you can see, as we change these, it changes live on the website. So let's say we want this one. This one looks nice, okay? And as I said, you can go through here and edit these settings as you wish. I quite like the way that looks. Colors, so again, you can either change these individual colors or you can just pick a preset. So let's go with this one, dark, style 2, style 3. I quite like the default, so let's stay with that, okay? Then we got the container, we're going to leave that as it is. Buttons, we can change the colors and the sizes of buttons. I quite like them the way they are, so I'm not going to change that, but spend as much time or as little time as you want making these changes to get it just right for you. Then you've got the header. Now, as you can see, the header is built from this little section at the bottom here. And as you'll see, you've got the site title and logo, which is here. Okay, we can edit that in a minute. And then we've got our primary navigation and a button on the right-hand side, which is this one. All right, I'm going to leave them as they are, but this is where you would change the header. Post types, I'm not going to worry about that. So obviously we've got pages, which are, generally things like home page, about page, contact page, services page, privacy policy pages. So they're things where the content is sort of pretty much the same all the time, okay? Then you've got the blog. Now, blog in WordPress, that's classed as posts, and that's where you can, write articles and continually add articles to your WordPress website. I don't think we need to worry about anything in here at the moment because it's just, a real beginner-friendly video to get your first website up and running. Then you've got general settings. You can go through these, make any changes if you want. Site identity. So this one is important. So this is where we can select our... And then where is it? Yeah, I can remove that logo and I can select a different image and then I can drag my image into here, okay? So the image I'm adding is this WP Odyssey logo. Choose image. And then you can see now that the branding of the website has changed. Now it's really small there, so I need to make it bigger. So what I can do is I can use this slider. Just give it a second. There we go. So, but anyway, you can see I've added my logo, so I've given it my own little touch there. Okay, so I'm now happy with that. So let's go back and see what other options there are. So the header is good. Site identity, menus is this navigation here, so we can edit that once we've created some pages. Homepage settings. Yeah. So if I publish this now. So what the appearances customizer section is for is to give the feel of the website, for the whole website, not per page. So at this point, you've now got, we've got our hosting, we've got our domain, we've got our website in WordPress installed, we've picked a theme, and we're now going into the customizer and making little changes the way that we want, okay? So once I've published that, I can exit this, okay? And, I feel like for this video, I think we've done that. So we've made some changes. We haven't created pages, but we'll go into that in a second. So add plugins and then publish. This is the final step to getting your website live. Now, level up. Now make your site work even better with plugins. Think of them as... The way WordPress works is it's got themes and it's got plugins. Themes are the appearance of the website, and then plugins are like the functionality of the website. So some example plugins you can have are SEO, contact forms, you name it, you can have a plugin for anything. That is probably one already built, okay? So, but you can add these plugins as and when you need them. Now, just a pre-warning, don't go off installing all the plugins, because the more plugins you have, it uses up more resources of your hosting and it can end up slowing down your website. So be careful in picking plugins that you actually need. So in order to do this, you'd go to plugins, add new, and then you search for basic things like, SEO helper or security, whatever it is that you want. And I'll show you some examples of those in a second now. And then customize. Add a couple of key pages like home, about, services, and contact. Now we've already got those, but I'll show you, how we can make those look good. But you can add any new pages that you want, and I'll just cover that in a second before we go. And then finally, go live, hit publish. That's it. Your website's live. You can sell it to somebody. You can use it to get more clients. Whatever it is, you've built the website. So if we just switch back to WordPress. Now, what's important for you to understand is when you go to pages, you'll see here the pages that have been created. And what I'll do at the same time is I want to refresh this because this is the website that we've now got. Now on this page, let's say, okay, I really like this page, but I want to make some changes to it. What you got to do is go to the home page in the admin, click pages, home, And what you'll see then is, you can close this down, you'll see your website as an editor. Okay, so you might want to change this to, so if you go on the, once you've picked a block, you've got these options on the right hand side. Okay, so the content here, you can see, so yeah, once you click this content, you can go in and change, you know, whatever you want. Write a title. So okay, so just for you to see, you've got this document overview on the left-hand side, which I think is important for you to be able to use, because this gives you a way of selecting and highlighting the different sections. But for this, I wanted to just show you, oh, there we go, we can change it. I just hadn't selected it. Okay, this, I'm just making something up here, but you need to go in and start editing this content now so that you've got everything set up perfectly for whatever it is you're building this website for. You know, and one thing I do suggest is use ChatGPT. Use ChatGPT to help you create content for this website so that, you know, you get SEO rich content. And then things like these buttons. So let's say this button, you know, there's a call to action here, which is a button, and it's linking currently to nothing. It's got this little hashtag. No. So what you'll have to do is you'll have to put a link in. So let's say you want this get started to go to the contact page. Then you can go to the contact page, get the link, and then head back here and put it in there. So when we save that, it'll instantly update the website. So if we go back to our home page now this get started button, when I click it, it takes me to the contact page. So just spend a bit of time going through these pages, making changes, changing images, changing the title, changing the services that you offer, you know, editing any, you know, testimonials that you might have, the content. Yeah, and that's it. So just bear in mind, when you go into each page, the bit that you will be able to edit is everything from here. This at the top is classed as what's called a header, and at the bottom is called the footer. Now they're global settings, so they're not per page. You haven't got to edit them every time. You edit them once and it's on every page it's edited. All right. So, yeah, spend a bit of time going through, making sure all the links are working, they're not broken. Check out your services. So you've got a web design service. Now, if you wanted to create a web design page, which is something that, you know, you might want to do, I'll show you this quickly. So let's click add page, and we'll do web design. Okay. And then we want to give it the parent of services. All right. So that is, you know, web design services is the parent to this page. And then we want to give it that. Okay. And then I can click publish. And I can copy that URL. And I can also, so I can go back to the services page, and I want to maybe edit that to click learn more. So we go back to our services page. And then this button here, call to action, I might want to change that to go there. Okay. And then maybe I want to change the text to, so you click on it, it doesn't show on the right. So if I want to say, you know, learn more, and then I can save that. Now we haven't built out that page properly, but I just wanted to show you quickly, you know, the sort of things that you should be thinking about that you could do. So if I go to services, and then I can see this web design. So it's got a little bit of information from £99. I can click learn more, and then it takes me to the web design page. But as you can see, we've not built that out yet. But the point of this video is just to show you how to build a website in less than 30 minutes that's up and running. And I think, you know, what you've got here is something that, one, you could either use for yourself for sure, or you could sell as a service to a small business. Okay. So just to go back to this. So hopefully, obviously we've clicked publish when we message each page. What's important that you do check before you go live is inside the admin. Once you click back, under settings and reading, you want to make sure that search engine visibility is unticked, okay? Because sometimes when you're developing a website, you don't want search engines finding your website. So you might have this enabled, and that will just put a piece of code on your website to tell search engines like Google to not list your website, because you don't want a half-built website being shown on Google, all right? But if you get to the point where, you are at the point where you now want to show Google your website on Google, you make sure that's unticked. So before you go live, make sure that's unticked, click Save Changes, and then your website's live. And when you click on that icon to go to look at the homepage, this website URL should be the domain that you've purchased. And that now is ready for you to share with the world. Your website's done, okay? So hopefully that's helped somebody get your website up and running. Obviously, more in-depth training than I do on this one normally. But this is just to get you up and running, okay? So quick summary, what have we done? So we've talked about hosting and installing WordPress. You've done that. You've picked a theme and you've made it your own, which is great. And you've added plugins and published. No, we didn't do plugins, sorry. So let me just show you plugins because I did miss that. So with plugins, you can go here to plugins, and because this theme has already created some for you, you'll see these are the plugins that you've got installed. So there's quite a few here. So first of all, we got Akismet. Some of them are disabled. If you don't want them, delete them. Again, I wouldn't worry about these. Hello Dolly, you can safely delete that because it doesn't do anything. And yeah, I'm not going to go into too much detail on these plugins, but if you go to plugins and you click, so if you go to featured, so Bluehost has got their own solution, but if you go to featured, you then got this search on the right hand side. And by default, what you'll see here, these are the most popular plugins, okay? And you'll see, if you click on popular, you'll see, you've got Elementor, you've got Contact Form 7, which is one that I use quite a lot. You've got WooCommerce if you want to turn your website into a store. And yeah, these are just some of the most popular ones, okay? So SiteKit by Google. So maybe if you want to add that, security, WP SMTP, there's too many plugins really for me to go into each one and show you exactly what they do. But let's say you find one that you want to install. Let's say you want this Contact Form 7. You want to click install and then activate it. So that'll activate the plugin. And what that does then is it'll add a new menu item on the left-hand side specific to that plugin. So this one's called Contact Form 7. You can see it there. And then it gives you the ability to create new contact forms, or there's one already built in by, this one will show you what that contact form is. And if you want to display that contact form, you just take that, okay? I'm not going to go into too much detail on plugins. I just want you to be aware that they exist and they're something that you can use for free. There's obviously premium plugins as well, but there are so many free plugins on the WordPress repository that, you should check those out first. Quite a lot of them are what we call freemium. So they're free for most features. And then to get some of the features, you need to pay a premium to get that or go pro on them. That's it. You've now built your website. You're officially a web developer. You just got to keep practicing. The more websites you build, the more experience that you'll get. And honestly, you'll learn from your mistakes. So hopefully this is the trigger point for somebody to become a web developer. It's a great profession. I think you can earn a pretty good living from it. And I think if you explore things like, hosting and maintenance plans that you can offer clients once you've built them the website, it can really be a really powerful way of earning income and building up recurring income every month. So yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed it. Yeah, and just keep practicing. Now look, a lot of my first websites weren't the best. Obviously I didn't have the option of using these pre-built templates. I had to go out and buy templates. But, I think the more that you practice on these websites, the more websites you build for people, the more practice you get, the more customization you do, the more experience you learn, then all of a sudden things become a lot easier. And then you go, right, I remember how to do that. I remember to do that last time. And then you end up, creating some really good websites, and just try and make every website better and better and better. And obviously you can start charging a bit more every time that you, start adding these websites into your portfolio and showing them off to, potential new customers. So that's it. So, if you want to see the whole process in a bit more detail, including more advanced features, how to build, sites that actually bring in clients, you can watch my free training. I've got a link below, or it's in my bio. Head over to wpodyssey.com and you'll just see exactly how I can take beginners and show you how to turn, basic websites into websites that, show you how to earn real income. So yeah, if you want to know more, want to work with me a bit more, then obviously click the link below. And if not, then that's cool. And hopefully you found some value in this video, and we'll see you on the next one.